Okay. Thank you, Anastasia. Hello, everybody. It's always great to jump on and talk to peers. I'm going to try and keep this moving quickly and a little different than a lot of the presentations to date. I want to talk a lot about how we get intranets to be better and maybe talk a little bit about some of the other people we have to work with in order to get our communication messages to work. So let's think a little about the future and some of the experiences that have to become intranet and digital work adjacent. To get there, let's first probably dig into how we got here. Look, we're coming off of a very difficult year. Everything has changed, and the workplace and nature of work has moved. The fact of the matter is that what got us here to 2021 won't get us to the new normal of 2022. If we think about it, right now, home prices in Billings, Montana are 75% above national average. Wages are 25% below. Why does that matter to you as a communicator, as an intranet owner? Well, the fact of the matter is that companies are adapting. Next time Google starts looking for an accountant, they might just go and seek somebody out in Billings, Montana. Why? Because they can work from there. That price of labor in that market is such that they are going to save net dollars when they hire that accountant in Billings versus reaching into Silicon Valley, where they've traditionally hunted for employees. We are now dispersing, we are spreading out, and that has a lot of ramifications from how we work and how we pull together. Just deploying teams to everybody is not an answer. As we start rolling into 2021, what we are seeing is that there is going to be a lot of upheaval. Right now, there is a marketing department about 2 miles that way. And they are the marketing department for a Fortune 200 company that's about 50 miles that way. That Fortune 100 company wants everybody back in the office because they're a manufacturer. That marketing department has figured out how to work and work well in the pandemic. They don't want to deal with 2 hours of Chicago traffic every day. So what is going to happen over the next 6 weeks when the push comes to shove and they demand that everybody gets back into that office is that marketing department's going to hollow out, because as we see, there is such a demand of labor. What this means to us is that our partners in HR, who we work with to shape messaging and engage employees, are dealing with a crisis of retention of labor and attraction of new labor, onboarding and offboarding. This is the reality we work in. So simply trying to put out messages or upgrade an intranet, that's just not going to cut it anymore. We're dealing in much bigger issues. So the fact of the matter is, as we start moving into the future, the digital workplace has got to become bigger. If we are dispersed, we don't have the option of serendipity and running into somebody at a water cooler because we might not be in the office more than once or twice a week. We've got to figure out how to stay connected. This is the mission of everybody who sort of supports the enterprise, of which intranet teams and digital workplace teams are a component of it. Now, traditionally, we've tended to look at this and let's think about how the intranet can support by looking at all the things that a modern intranet has: content management, file sharing, streams, etc. A lot of people, the conversations today have talked about employee communications and analytics, adding in a little bit of automation and finding content. But the fact of the matter is, it's still a lot of silos. And that siloization is the challenge. This is why we are in so many meetings. This is why our work days are getting longer. What we have to start thinking about is what the intranet is supposed to be. Think about this Gartner quote. Really, we're thinking about modern intranets, which are composable services, mix and match, deployed in multiple places, and really both consuming and producing services for the employee. Realistically, we have to start thinking about going beyond the website and start being ubiquitous in the lives of the employee. So what does that mean? I think we have to go ahead and ask, what if? And if we start thinking about what if in the future, the way we can address it is to start looking at some use cases that have come to us over the past year. So I want to start getting you to think about the art of the possible by looking back at some things that surfaced just this year and that are surfacing now, to ask you to start to think broader challenge your thinking and think beyond kind of the web page and the branding of it, but start to think of how we can work with our partners in IT and HR to really raise the profile of the intranet. So for this, I'm going to pull in three really, I think, pretty real world examples. And the number one is scheduling time off. Look, why does this matter? Well, meet Jessica. She's been in her condo or in her apartment for a year and a half. She's about to burn out. She wants to get vacation time. Why is this a problem to the business? Here's the issue. Unused vacation time sits on the books as a liability. That is on average $1,900 per employee. There's also the question of burnout, slowdowns. If the entire accounting department, I seem to be picking on accounting today, takes December off, the pace of business will slow down. That $1,900 is really minor compared to the average cost of seeking, finding, onboarding, and retaining a new employee, which runs to almost $20,000 in the US. So that mission of how to make it easy for that employee to take time off is very important. So what stops Jessica? Well, this. You have to start figuring out about the COVID policy. Can I go on vacation? What happens if I get COVID while I'm on vacation? Am I supposed to stay home? Do I fly out? How does this work? This starts to turn into issues on HR systems. We saw lots of people started to trying to understand, how do I schedule COVID time off and loot time? Time off in general turned into a major problem over the past year and a half. As we rule through, we start to understand, okay, well, I've solved some of those things. I now want to figure out how to just set my out of office and get everything done. Is that enough? Because nobody's going to walk by my desk and see that I'm not there. And the fact of the matter is, the way a lot of people find out that somebody is away is that somebody else tells them. Well, if you're not running into other people, you might be 3 days into Jessica's vacation and starting to get upset at why she hasn't called you, right? So this is where you have to start notifying team members. And the challenge here is you've added new team members. You don't necessarily even know where they are. They are probably in other systems of work, because the fact of the matter is we don't work in email. We don't work in intranets. We are usually in other systems. We're in Slack, we're in Jira, we're in Salesforce, we're in Marketo. This is the great big challenge. This is the frustration, and this is what's going to keep Jessica from taking vacation. So let's figure out how we can make this better. And the way we think you can make this better is by starting to think about time off differently. Just make it easy for me to click into the intranet, stop, check my vacation balance, go ahead and just book the time off. While you're at it, let's add in the out of office message into Outlook, update other systems, route it to my manager, and be done with it. At that point, we've actually started to encourage the employee. Indeed, some of the power of the platform might be, let's nudge the employee to say it. I've seen some great use cases that we are thinking a lot about, which is your calendar's empty on Friday, you have a lot of time off, maybe take a day here or there. That starts to drive the idea of an engaged employee and an employer that cares about you further ahead. This is the wave of the future. These are the services that intranets have to start adding into their portfolio in order to be relevant. Now, let's take a moment and remember that a lot of people are also going to be on mobile. They're going to be walking around. Now, the past year and a half, we've been mostly on desktops. But the fact of the matter is we're going to start moving to more paradigms so that we move around. This is how we have to start adding value, and that there has to be a parity of experience both from the desktop user and the mobile user. Next use case. Let's think a little about managing enterprise IT cost. All right, if you take one thing away from this presentation, it's this. Notice that laptop. It is bulging out. If you take one thing away from this presentation, it is this. Your work laptop is a lot like that puppy you got. It needs to be taken for a walk. Here is what happens. If you've been in the military, you'll know that anytime they get a battery, they go and discharge it 3 times. It's called battery conditioning. Lithium-ion batteries are not meant to be plugged in forever, because lithium-ion batteries, like some of the people who work on those laptops, if they're just sitting there for a while, they're going to get fat. And when they get fat, the battery starts to pop up and the laptop starts to expand, and then it stops working. Simple truth. And the fact of the matter is this has been happening a lot this year. And this matters to our partners in IT who deploy these services, who work with us to make our intranet successful. So how do we help them? Well, help them with this fat battery problem. And the answer on why we want to help them on that is this. They've got work to do. Batteries are blowing up. It's turning into a 9-alarm fire. The important thing to the business is this. In 2019, an average Dell or HP laptop, about $780. Mid 2021, that shot up to $1,000. If you tried to buy a new car right now, you know that there's a chip shortage. There's an ongoing logistics challenge. Nobody can find an Xbox, PlayStation at Christmas because logistics are starting to break down. We are seeing IT help desk times running up to $1,500. For those of us who are technical, we have started to realize that when you are in COVID lockdown with your spouse, her IT problems and your IT problems because her help desk might not be available to you. That is the reality right now. So that fat laptop issue is an issue. So how do we get around this? Well, one, let's just make getting a laptop easy. Now, right now you have to search in IT, go figure this out. I know somebody who went through this problem and they were trying to explain, well, my laptop got fat and cracked. What do you mean? Well, I got to go send you a picture. How do you attach a picture to a Remedy ticket or a ServiceNow ticket? Off my phone? But how does this work? This is the issue that starts to pop up a lot. So eventually you got to go to Ariba and go find out, well, I don't know if I have poked into our Ariba and typed the word laptop in, and there's 5 pages of stuff before I actually get to a thing with a keyboard and a screen. So how do I make it easy? Well, if Kim is in Teams, we just make it really easy. Say, hey, one, let's get ahead of the problem. Let's remind her, hey, take your laptop for a walk. Maybe show it another room in the house because you've been locked up with it for a month. Take it someplace, discharge the battery, run it down. Number 2, if it did happen, well, then make it easy to order a new one. I lost a screen. I apologize for that. Ultimately, what you want to do is in that experience inside Teams, you want to make it very easy for them to go ahead and just grab another laptop, order it right out of Ariba. I will find that screen. I apologize for that. Example number 3, and I think this is one most of us can probably relate to. Let's go back to Jessica. She has been working from home now for a month. She's been working from home on her kitchen table. And the problem is that a kitchen table is made to eat a meal. It's not made to work 40 hours a week on. The table's fine. The problem's the chair. The chair is made to sit on for an hour, maybe 2 hours if you like to eat slow. It's certainly not made for 40 hours a week, and it's certainly not made for 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Hence why Jessica needs to go on vacation. So how do we fix this? Well, the fact of the matter is, grabbing your chair from the office was a bit of a problem. But if you dig deep enough into the Staples catalog, there you have a thing called a work from home office chair. Costs $81. Why does that matter? Well, the average cost of a physiotherapy appointment for that bad back is about $60. The average cost for lost productivity over what they call an incident is anywhere from $1,100 to possibly $1,500, depending on the type of employee. The easiest thing in the world is to simply tell the employee to get a new chair and grab them and make it easy on them. So how do we do that? Well, right now we got bosses asking for guidance, searches on intranet policies, searching for HR policies, and then trying to figure out, can I go to the office, calling IT? This is all very challenging. It's not very satisfying to the employee. So how do we make this better? How do we keep Jessica from just buying her own chair? Well, let's think a little bit about the new experience. What should have been happening is that people are should have been hitting the internet early in the pandemic and saying, hey, how do I deal with COVID office supplies? How do I find a new chair? Asking those questions just in a chatbot right from the beginning of the intranet page, because it's there. Not navigating 6 layers deep into HR, digging through email to understand policies. Now, if we did this correctly, and we allowed them to go and order that chair. Oops, that's why I have to go page down. Pardon me. Now, what the experience should be for the manager is just make it easy, right there. That is actually the actual Staples chair, just so you know. It is $81. It looks really very nice. I've approved a couple of them. They work well. Make this really easy for the manager and the employee to just say yes. Send Jessica down there. Avoid having to dig through Ariba and all these other systems. Same thing for the manager. Who knows where this approval is? They've been in 7 meetings for a bunch of hours. Just make this easy. In the end, the real kicker is we want this experience for the employee, which is when they land on their intranet, they get a simple message with an alert, they pop it open, and they know that they're getting a new chair. That's it. That little bit, that little moment that matters is really the perk that we're starting to drive into the intranet experience. This is what we're aiming for. So let's talk a little bit about how we can do this. How do we get to this new normal? This isn't just about driving a new intranet. It's about really improving the employee experience. Because a great employee experience will drive a great employee. And great employee experience has really got a high quality UX that's effective, that doesn't force them to hunt around for a lot of information. The way we get there is to start to balance what the needs of the employees are versus the stakeholders. And we've walked through a couple of scenarios here. I've talked about HR systems and HR policies, procurement systems and procurement policies. All of them have their own systems. And the tendency is to keep that information in those systems. The question is, how do you surface it? Well, you can blow a bunch of communications into people and messages and blogs, bury them in emails over it. But the thing is that, you're going to notice when your back hurts that you want a new chair, you're not going to go digging through your email trying to figure it out then. How do we make this easy? How do we be there for that employee at the moment that matters? That's the mission. The way we get there is to start thinking about how do we impose or add a digital experience layer atop all of these systems of record. We have cornerstones for training and Atlassians for wikis. How do we start to siphon up all of the notifications that are coming from these systems, all of the approvals that occur in these systems, all of the workflows that have to cross multiple of these systems? And the fact of the matter is, this is the stuff that IT is rolling out and dealing with. This is the systems that HR is managing. Your role as a communicator running an intranet or a digital workplace is really, how do we make work easier for those employees? How do we create that layer that helps them? Now, the intranet is one component, but there's still all of these little, as they said for Gartner, composable services. How do we arrive at that? This is where Workgrid comes in. We're really working on a modern way to build employee experiences for the digital workplace and the intranet. What we are really thinking a lot about is how can we pull together the experience so that you can go ahead and build that experience very quickly to help somebody go and order a chair. Build an experience very quickly to go build a laptop. What we don't have time to do is turn this into a major 6-week HR product, IT project to help HR in the midst of a global pandemic. How do we make this easy, fast? That's the mission. That's the goal. So how do we get there? Well, what we believe is that you have to integrate into your existing system of records. You have to build these experiences with no code. Make this easy for IT by putting it in the hands of a business analyst or maybe the business itself. And then you have to be multi-channel. You have to deliver the experiences in the intranet portal, MS Teams and mobile. It has to be ubiquitous. That really is where the line sits. How do we get there? I want to introduce you to Workshop by Workgrid. And Workshop is the new product that we are rolling out right now. And the idea is to take those integrations that took months to build and build them in seconds. Just decide you want to build an approval, and off you go. In the back end, you can very quickly start the cycle, grab something, find ServiceNow, find ServiceNow and say, I'd like to go and add something out of ServiceNow to go make something surface. I can add delays to it. I can add approvals to it. I can get quite creative with it. But the important thing is it's fairly easy to go do. Anybody can do it, well, probably anybody in a business analyst role or in the department itself. And then it can be deployed really quickly and added into something like the Workgrid toolbar or our implementation in Teams. It can be dropped into really any intranet or mobile experience or in Teams. And there you have it right there. New experiences that are available for the user. Available and easy for them to start adding. So you're very quickly reacting to the needs of the business in the moment by adding in integration capabilities into their intranets. Now, I remember from my time in doing strategy for Intranet, this is one of those great big challenges. How do people, how do you get people to land on the page to look at the news? We are talking about taking it to them in various channels and building composable widgets, and that's all great, but why are they going to read the news? The answer really is add utility to those pages as well. So build that news page, put a CEO message on it, put a department message. They might look at it the third time or the fifth time, but they come back to it more often because you can go in here and schedule time off. You can go in here and order a computer. You can go in here and update a ticket. That's the value. It's a little bit of a give and take. If I'm adding value to the employee by giving them moments that matter around approvals, requests, information requests, the chatbot, I might come back in. That employee is also going to come back in and start consuming the news you're producing. This is the contract we are starting to work through as intranet teams. It's also important that we really start to think about where they are. You know, can it be on a custom page? Sure. Is it in an intranet in the box vendor page? Absolutely. When we believe we can deploy it to most any intranet that's already existing. We've got to put it on mobile because the fact of the matter, people are going to walk around. And let's not mince words. Teams, to a large extent, has won the pandemic, and it is everywhere. Is it a great experience? It's okay. Is it ubiquitous? Yes. Do we have to be in Teams? Yes. Is Workgrid in Teams? The answer is we're going to be there too. This is the idea of meeting the employee where they are. So if they are working in a system of record, if they're working in an intranet, they're in Teams, meet the employee there, deliver the services that they're looking for there. And then this ties to everything from SAP systems that are running Ariba and Fieldglass to HR systems like UltiPro and ADP. In-house systems that you're building or ITSM systems like ServiceNow. This is the larger ecosystem that you can start to fold together and funnel and drive value for the employee. And this is how we build that partnership between the communication function that often owns an intranet and a digital workplace with the HR teams and the IT teams that start to support them. In the end, this is what we are starting to drive towards, modern intranets. This is the idea of those composable services by starting to bring together all those pieces. And this is the idea of making consumable across multiple touch points. In the end, this is how to take an existing intranet that's already running, doing fine, and adding that little piece so that it now starts to consume and produce services. So not a net new intranet, simply an addition and an improvement on what is already running. That in the end is probably the best value. All right, I'm going to hit stop here. I did lose a slide, so I'm going to stop the share for a second and just pull it up while we take questions. Anastasia, I'm not sure if, I'm not seeing the questions, but I'm not sure if maybe you have them and I missed them.
Oh no, I got them, don't worry. So thank you so much, first of all. It's really cool. And I mean, you were just, you were just showing some use cases and my colleagues and I was like, oh, I wish we had this thing. This is so nice.
Well,
we want that.
Anastasia, if you want, you know, we can, I'm sure we can work out something with them. Hold on a minute, let me find the slide that, you know what, I ran a little fast because let me share the one slide. Just I want to show you the procurement experience because I screwed up and we had spent so much time sort of building it out. So let me see if I can pop this up. Share. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Escape here. Hold on a minute. There it is. There it is. Give me a second. Screen sharing is stopped. So what are the questions? And let me while I mouse through and find this visual I was trying to grab.
So the first question, and this is from me, is in the run-up to our next also presentation, like, and I was asking also a previous speaker, when it comes to not only just workers who work from home, you know, but people in the field, people like, I don't know, salespeople on the go, only have the mobile phone, or people in the factory, sometimes there's just like this one computer station still, you know, which is obviously making life quite complicated and unsafe. So what are the advantages, I guess, for the platform in regard to that?
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that most of the systems that people are dealing with, so this is, you teed me up well. What you're seeing on the screen right here is a procurement process for Ariba, back-end system, terrible UX, sorry, SAP, but not a great UX. Can you pull it into Teams? Because mobile employees might be in Teams if you are on the road. Throughout the pandemic, one of our major clients had a number of salespeople in the thousands in the field every day. And what they were doing was using Workgrid to go pull in order systems from custom in-house ones, scheduling, custom dashboards. That is kind of the mission. And the way they were doing it was pulling it up on an iPad or pulling it up on a phone, pulling it up sometimes on a laptop. But the fact of the matter is you don't know what your connectivity is going to be. This is important, especially. And the other thing is, if we start to think about, this whole effort around some people working from home and some people not, it's important that we're communicating to people the same way. That's how you create parity. We don't want to create a gulf between white collar employees who can work from home and blue collar employees who are obliged to come in, especially in trying circumstances like we had last year. So I think it is very important that you drive some sort of experience like this that is the same in mobile versus desktop, that really suits the interface that they're working in, for any number of just, justifiable social justice reasons, if nothing else.
Muting myself. Sorry. No, it's just a party music going on outside, so I'd rather, keep it quiet on my side. So another question. I mean, I know your history. I mean, I remember having Liberty Mutual at my conference a few years ago, and they were sharing the internally developed intranet, which was brilliant. Yep. And then obviously that's how this was born, right?
Yep.
The solution. So
exactly.
How did it affect that being, developed internally in an actual, in a company, and then spun off?
Very good question. Here's the reality. I came from startups that were small, a couple of hundred people. And the fact of the matter is that the IT mix that a small company deals with is finite. You've got your intranet project, you got Slack, you got UltiPro for HR, you got something for expenses, and that's about it. Big enterprises are dealing with major systems. You've got Oracle, you've got dashboards, you've got Tableau, you've got SAP, you've got stuff that is on-prem, off-prem. You are building large IT stacks of in-house applications of your own. The fact is that we came out of big enterprise and we worked with complicated systems and we worked on driving those experiences to them. So even now we are thinking about how to take the in-house built return to work and book a desk system and bring it into our experience. We built the system to deal with that level of complexity. And the fact of the matter is that oftentimes intranets are built just for, it's a landing page, it's pretty, it's secure, but it doesn't really deal with the reality of complicated workforces. We started with a complicated workforce, and that's in our DNA right from the start.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you are available for the rest of the day. I don't know if our attendees are also scheduling meetings outside the stream space, which will end soon. But I hope you get a chance to talk to a few folks. And if anybody has more questions, then by all means, I hope that somebody is available in the booth for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. It's brilliant. I learned so much, by the way, regarding like the vacations and everything. Just
if nothing else, unplug your laptop and take it for a walk.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Anastasia.
Enjoy
Take care.
The next talk.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.